So after the success of the Port Banff Square, I'm feeling quite upbeat this week. Double moss stitch. We're back in to this area, and in spite of moss being my surname, I have a little bit of a concern with moss stitch, because I always, every time we've done it in the past, you can see this one, there's a mistake there, this one, there's a mistake there. This was one I did, and that just sort of worked, but you can still see it's still not particularly well done, and also you've got dodgy edges, so I'm a little bit apprehensive about this one. It's just simply knowing which row I'm on, and because you're constantly knitting and purling, I always forget. So I've come up with a bit of a method, and I've got 4 bits of paper. And what I'm going to do is just constantly have them next to me, and every time I do a row, I'm just going to put that underneath and carry on like that, and hope that it works, because I can see this taking rather a long time. I've started it already. I'm on different needles today, just because I wanted to try out another pair that was slightly heavier, see if that made any difference to the way I knit. And so far it's going okay. You can see this, it's such a pretty pattern. I do hope I eventually get the hang of this, but it's just a case of knitting and purling and getting it in the right direction, and also making sure that you're keeping the wool tight. So it's once again this positioning of your hand that's quite important, but it's just literally a knit, and then you take it off, then you bring the yarn through to the front, and then you do a purl, and then you go back again and you do a knit, and then you do a purl, and so on. I did look the other day, and I just kept thinking this keeps knocking and falling down, and I'm sure that if I held it like that, that has got to be easier. It feels like a bit of a workout, this stitch. There's a lot of movement. It's not like when you get yourself into a nice rhythm of a knit, you've got to be constantly changing the yarn and moving it from back to forwards. And once you get into the hang of it, it's fine, but it's just keeping that tension as you move the wool from front to back. So I'm going to keep going with this one, and I'll let you know how I do. But I think the key here is tension and keeping track by either making a note of it, or I'm going to try my little numbers on bits of papers I did and see how I get on. So it's beaten me again. I had to go away, and I took my needles with me, and I decided I was going to do it in the car, and I obviously didn't have my bits of paper with me, and I have started and redone and pulled apart and tried to fix so many times with this square. I think I've restarted this one 6 times. I just don't know what it is, just me and moss stitch, we're just not getting on at all. I've managed to finish it, and you can see that this bit here, if I ever get the hang of this, I'm just going to love using this, because it's so pretty. But then you can see it just goes out here. I don't know what I did. I tried to fix it, and then here we've got another bizarre thing going on. That looks very pretty on its own, but it's obviously not that one. So it looks all right. This is great, but I'm a bit disappointed with this one, actually, and it's nobody's fault apart from mine, really. So I am actually going to give this one another go, but I thought I'd share this with you so far and use my paper thing. The tension is fine. This is 15, absolutely square, and on a plus side, the sides aren't quite as bulbous as the earlier squares have been. So I'm getting better at it. It's just keeping track. I think knowing that when you knit, and start with a knit, then a purl, then a knit, then a purl, you're only starting with a knit and the purl on the right side once, and then when you do a knit and purl again, it's going to be on the wrong side, and the same goes with purl. But then occasionally I just forget which is the right side and which is the wrong side, so then that little theory goes out the window as well. So it's back to the drawing board with this one. I was feeling great with the Port Banff Square. I'm feeling a little bit beaten by the moss stitch. I'm not going to let it beat me. I'm actually going to redo this one, I think, a little bit later on. But this is where I've got to with this one. So good luck with this. Try and keep count. Do anything to make sure you're not distracted with a car journey, small children, dogs, whatever, and just get this one done, because I think it's going to be a lovely addition to the blanket. It's just really frustrating that just one slip and you've absolutely had it. So it's a bit of a minefield, this one, and I really hope you have a better time of it than I've had.